Even though we've been living on this beautiful planet for thousands of years, we're still far from uncovering everything about it. Our understanding of history mostly comes from unclear records and the discoveries made by archaeologists, and let's be real, no one today was actually there to see what happened. So when something that's been buried for centuries is unearthed, it can sometimes change the way we view our past. Here are some of these mysterious ancient finds. Number 15. Seal of the Governor of Jerusalem. In early 2018, archaeologists digging near Jerusalem's western wall uncovered something that shocked biblical scholars: a tiny clay seal, nearly 2,700 years old, inscribed in ancient Hebrew. It read, "Belonging to the governor of the city." For the first time, there was physical evidence that such a post actually existed during the First Temple period, something that had only been mentioned in texts like the Bible. The seal itself shows two men in knee-length striped robes, facing one another, possibly symbolizing authority or diplomacy. This artifact bridges written scripture with real-world proof and directly connects with figures like Joshua and Messiah, governors mentioned during the reigns of Hezekiah and Josiah. Theories suggest the seal was carried by messengers, acting as a stamp of legitimacy on official documents. Its discovery was more than just a find, it was validation. Now, with one confirmed artifact on record, researchers are digging even deeper to uncover more evidence behind ancient Jerusalem's political structure and power dynamics. Number 14. The Voltaic Pile. In 1800, Alessandro Volta created something that would quietly ignite a scientific revolution: a stack of alternating copper and zinc discs, separated by cloth soaked in brine. The Voltaic Pile wasn't flashy, but it was powerful. It was the world's first true battery, the earliest device to give a steady, lasting current of electricity. This changed everything. Scientists no longer had to rely on static charges or lightning, they had electricity on demand. Volta's design helped unlock the mysteries of electrochemistry, leading to breakthroughs in magnetism, telecommunications, and even biology. It laid the groundwork for inventions we now take for granted. The pile sparked curiosity across Europe, inspiring figures like Michael Faraday, who'd later transform our understanding of electromagnetic fields. Though it looks simple today, it was anything but in its time. Without it, we'd be missing a critical link in the history of energy. And considering how much of modern life runs on batteries, phones, cars, heart monitors, that link is more than just historical. Number 13. The Codex Atlanticus. He was the legend. Leonardo da Vinci left behind a trail of inventions, theories, and ideas, but no single collection captures his mind like the Codex Atlanticus. Spanning 12 volumes and filled with over 1,100 pages, it's the most extensive collection of his sketches and notes. There's no real structure, just a flood of genius. You'll find designs for flying machines alongside thoughts on geology, engineering plans beside music theory. It's chaotic, but it's also deeply human. Da Vinci never limited himself to one subject. If he could imagine it, he drew it. Inside, there's an early version of a parachute, a massive crossbow, and concepts for hydraulic pumps. It even includes musings on mathematics and the nature of the soul. The Codex isn't just a glimpse into his work, it's a direct window into how he thought. Some ideas were centuries ahead of their time, while others feel oddly modern. In that sense, the Codex Atlanticus isn't just a relic, it's proof that curiosity, when left untamed, can leave a mark that lasts forever. What do you think about it? Number 12. The 1418 Chinese Map Controversy. History isn't set in stone, and sometimes a single map can throw everything into question. A centuries-old map surfaced in Beijing, supposedly drawn in 1418, that outlines both North and South America. If it's legit, it could mean Chinese Admiral Zheng. He reached the Americas before Columbus ever set sail. The theory gained traction with Gavin Menzies' book 1421, the year China discovered America, and the map was bought by Chinese lawyer Liu Gang, who believes it supports Menzies' claims. Critics quickly dismissed it as a forgery, but supporters argue it aligns with other early Chinese maps and even resembles a Portuguese map from 1419, complete with similar mistakes. Some say it's a copy, others call it a fantasy. Either way, it stirred up old debates. And while Chinese voyages may have crossed oceans, even a 1421 landing would still come after Viking settlements in Newfoundland. Still, it's another piece in the puzzle of who really saw the New World first, and how often our history books oversimplify the truth. Number 11. The Aztec Sunstone. Carved from basalt and weighing 24 tons, the Aztec Sunstone is one of Mesoamerica's most iconic creations. This massive circular stone, also known as the Stone of the Five Eras, isn't just art. It's a calendar, a cosmological map, and a spiritual symbol rolled into one. At its center is Tonatiuh, the sun god staring out with a tongue shaped like a blade, representing sacrifice. Around him are 4 eras, or suns that came before the Aztec age, each believed to have ended in catastrophe. The carvings are detailed and symbolic, blending celestial cycles with myth and ritual. Measuring over 11 feet wide, it was likely used during public ceremonies and possibly aligned with astronomical events. The Aztecs didn't just track time, they built their entire worldview around it. The stone survives today not just as a cultural relic, but as proof of how advanced and deeply philosophical Aztec society truly was. It's a masterpiece that stands tall against any ancient monument, both in size and meaning, and without a question, it is cool. Number 10. The Congre Clock. In the early 1800s, Sir William Congreve took timekeeping to another level. His creation, the Congre Clock, was more than just a way to track minutes, it was a display of mechanical art. Unlike typical clocks, this one didn't tick away with hands on a dial. Instead, a rolling ball moved down a zigzag track, triggering a mechanism with each pass. It looked less like a timepiece and more like a small machine built for show, and that was exactly the point. These clocks weren't mass-produced or practical. They were crafted for the wealthy and placed in drawing rooms as conversation starters. The motion was slow, graceful, and strangely mesmerizing, but its accuracy left a lot to be desired. Small bumps or uneven surfaces could throw the timing off completely. Still, the engineering was super-duper remarkable. With miniature automations, ships, birds, dancers, it blurred the line between function and fantasy. Today, the Congre Clock is remembered not for keeping perfect time, but for turning time itself into a performance. Number 9. The Borugak Jagyongnu Water Clock. Long before numbers, Korea had a different way of measuring time, through flowing water and quiet precision. In the 15th century, under the reign of King Sejong, Korean scholars developed the Borugak Jagyongnu, a water clock unlike any in the world. It didn't rely on gears or weights. Instead, water trickled through chambers, gradually lifting a float. At precise intervals, the float would trigger a mechanical system that released metal balls, which struck gongs and drums to mark each hour. This wasn't just functional, it was a feat of creativity and engineering. The system allowed for consistent timekeeping, regardless of weather or manual oversight. And in an era before wristwatches or standardized time zones, that consistency mattered. It was a way to regulate official duties, religious rituals, and everyday routines. Though only fragments of the original survive, reconstructions keep the legacy alive. It remains one of Korea's proudest technological achievements, both simple and brilliant, built with a clarity of purpose that still resonates today. Number 8. The Malia Altar Stone. On the island of Crete, a curious stone slab found near the village of Malia has kept many archaeologists guessing for decades. Known as the Malia Altar Stone, it stands out not just for its age, but for the rare hieroglyphs carved across its surface. The symbols bear a striking resemblance to those on the Phaistos disc, another mysterious Minoan artifact, suggesting some shared ritual or message between the two. What sets it apart is its context. It was likely part of an altar, used in ceremonies dedicated to unknown deities from the Minoan pantheon. One partial translation suggests something like, "If you care for force and quantity, correct your path to the goddess Men." It's an odd phrase, but even as a rough translation, it hints at a spiritual or ethical directive. The stone gives scholars one more piece of a culture still largely veiled in mystery. We may not fully grasp the Minoans' belief system, but each discovery, like this altar, pulls back the curtain just a little more. Number 7. The silver Puka disc. Over a century ago, near Strempci, Bulgaria, a shimmering silver disc was pulled from the earth, and then nearly forgotten. Known as the silver Puka, this 5,000-year-old artifact only came into the spotlight decades later, once it made its way into a regional museum. Just 8.5 inches across and half a pound in weight, the disc is made entirely of silver, an incredibly rare material for its time. Found in an area once rich with archaeological significance, most of that site was tragically lost due to limestone mining in the 1960s. The disc itself is believed to have held ceremonial importance. It may have been worn across the chest or displayed during spiritual rites. In 2012, researchers confirmed it as the oldest known man-made silver object north of the Alps. Today, it's housed at the Shipka Museum, no longer hidden but standing as a glinting symbol of ancient craftsmanship, ritual power, and a chapter of European prehistory that almost slipped away. Number 6. The Archimedes Palimpsest. For years, it looked like an ordinary medieval prayer book, but beneath the faded script, something extraordinary was hidden, writings from the mind of Archimedes himself. Known as the Archimedes Palimpsest, this manuscript had been overwritten with religious texts centuries ago. But modern imaging technology peeled back the layers, revealing lost works on geometry, mechanics, and even early calculus-like methods. Among the rediscovered texts was the Method of Mechanical Theorems, a groundbreaking explanation of how Archimedes visualized problems using levers and balance before proving them mathematically. The manuscript also includes diagrams and ideas long thought lost, offering a raw, intimate look at how one of history's greatest mathematicians actually thought through complex problems. It's not just a scientific treasure, it's a time capsule of intellectual brilliance. Thanks to the meticulous work of scholars and imaging experts, Archimedes' lost pages are back in the world, bridging ancient genius with modern discovery and offering a rare glimpse inside a mind centuries ahead of its time. Number 5. The Ulbert Swords. Some weapons tell stories. The Ulbert Swords scream at them. Forged over 1,000 years ago, these blades have been found across Europe, each one etched with the same mysterious name, plus Ulbert+. What makes them extraordinary isn't just the branding, it's the metallurgy. These swords were created with crucible steel, a technique that removed impurities and resulted in stronger, sharper blades. That process shouldn't have existed in Europe at the time. It was far ahead of what local blacksmiths were thought capable of. The exact origin of the Ulbert technique remains unclear. Some suggest it came from Persia or Central Asia, while others believe the Vikings reverse-engineered the method from distant lands they raided. Wherever it came from, the result was unmatched. Warriors who carried Ulbert swords had an edge literally and figuratively. They were lighter, deadlier, and more durable. And even now, centuries later, no one's entirely sure how these weapons were made. These guys were brutal geniuses. Number 4. Cypress Palindrome Amulet. When archaeologists unearthed a small amulet in Neapolis, they didn't expect it to stir much excitement, but the engraved inscription told a different story. Just 59 characters long, the text reads identically forwards and backward, one of the oldest known palindromes ever found, clocking in at roughly 1,500 years old. Translated, it speaks of a mysterious bearer of a secret name and a lion safely guarded in his shrine. It's not just wordplay, it's poetry wrapped in belief. On the back of the amulet, intricate figures are etched in miniature, including a mummified figure which hints at Egyptian cultural influence and burial knowledge. Scholars believe the piece was created as a form of spiritual armor, meant to protect the wearer from misfortune, illness, or perhaps even darker forces. While the exact meaning is still debated, the precision, craftsmanship, and mystical symbolism have kept the conversation alive. In a fragment of bronze, someone left behind a blend of devotion, language, and mystery that still speaks both ways. Number 3. Egyptian 20-sided die. At first glance, the 20-sided die found in Egypt looks like something you'd find on a gamer's shelf today, but this artifact predates tabletop gaming by over 2 millennia. Made of serpentine and dating back to the Ptolemaic period, around 2,200 years ago, it's one of the most intricate ancient dice ever found. Its faces aren't numbered, but instead etched with Greek letters, some still legible after centuries of wear. Historians haven't agreed on its original purpose. Was it part of a game, or used in religious rituals to interpret fate? Dice in ancient cultures were often tied to divination, and this one may have been rolled not for fun, but for prophecy. Its condition is remarkable considering its age, suggesting it was a prized item possibly handled only by priests or scholars. Though we may never know the exact rules or meanings behind its symbols, the craftsmanship speaks for itself. A small, palm-sized object, yet filled with cultural weight and mystery. Number 2. The Terturia tablets. In 1961, a Romanian archaeologist digging near the village of Terturia uncovered 3 clay tablets that shouldn't exist, not where they were found, and not when they were made. These small, palm-sized tablets are covered in symbols that look a lot like early writing. But here's the twist. They're over 7,000 years old. That predates Sumerian cuneiform, long considered the oldest form of written language. Some scholars say the markings are just decorative or proto-writing at best. Others argue they represent an entire system of communication, one lost before it had the chance to spread. Found alongside the remains of what may have been a shaman buried with ritual objects, the tablets hint at something far more advanced than we've credited Neolithic Europe with. They're controversial, often excluded from timelines, quietly sitting in the maybe pile of archaeology. But if these symbols are what they seem, then the story of how, where, and when writing began needs a serious rewrite. Number 1. Vimanas. Well, long before engines, blueprints, or air traffic control, ancient Indian texts spoke of flying chariots rising into the sky with fire and water. These weren't vague metaphors or single mentions either. Sanskrit epics like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana describe them in technical detail. The Vedas even reference control panels, pivot joints, and architectural elements within the crafts, almost like a mechanical manual from another age. Some writings suggest these vessels were reserved for royalty, suggesting exclusivity rather than fantasy. And these stories didn't stem from just one region. They were scattered across centuries and locations, all independently written. The lack of physical evidence hasn't slowed the fascination. Historians debate whether these texts were imaginative myths, symbolic metaphors, or echoes of lost technologies. No actual Vimanas have ever been unearthed, but the consistency of the descriptions still challenges anyone quick to dismiss them as simple fiction. What do you think? Let us know. And if you've enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.